the 2021 Recovery Rocks here at Sweetwater. Are you glad to be here tonight? Okay, we're gonna have to get a lot more excited than that. I like to be a hype man sometimes, and usually it's at concerts where we have bands that are, throwing out free stuff all the time. So I need you to yell at the top of your lungs when I ask for you to yell, okay? Does that sound good? All right, are you guys ready to have a good time tonight? But I just want to be able to introduce our first speaker. Mitch is a board member of the Mom of an Addict and is a lifelong resident of Fort Wayne and a graduate of Bishop Dwenger High School and Indiana Wesleyan University. Mitch has served the city of Fort Wayne as a police officer for the past 22 years, holding the rank of deputy chief. Mitch is the commander of the southeast quadrant of the city to include community relations. A proud member of the Fraternal Order of Police, Mitch prides himself with a servant heart and an attitude by extending the helping hand to all who seek it. Would you please give a warm welcome to Mitch McKinney?
Thank you, folks. I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to serve on the board of the Mom of an Addict. You'll see our table back here. I've appreciated the opportunity to use a servant heart because I stand in front of you, a Christian man just trying to serve God's plan. And my hope for all of you today is that we can remember 9/11 today. And I just left a golf outing for Guns and Hoses, and we were honoring firefighters, first responders, law enforcement officers. But one thing I tell all of our brothers and sisters in first responding, that I'm going to an event where we have a lot of folks that have a lot of dates that are etched in their hearts and that burn in their souls, and that we have to remember them as well. So I'm proud to be here today to lead you all in a moment of silence, not only for our brothers and sisters and first responders who passed 20 years ago in 9/11, but a moment of silence for all of your loved ones as well. If you would join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. So it's my pleasure to introduce a true friend of mine. When we met over a luncheon with my friend Donna Ray, introduced me to this young lady, and she's now got a space in my heart, which is why I joined the board of the Mom of an Addict. She's a rock star. She'll take over this stage, and what you see here today is a lot due to her efforts and what she does in our community, and I'll always walk alongside of her. Please welcome to the stage, Jennifer H.O.P.E.
What we're gonna do, we have what we're calling our grab and go talks today. So we have 7 people who are gonna take this stage. They're gonna give you little nuggets. We hope that you take something, that you latch onto it, and then you go find them after they're done speaking and have a conversation and learn more and connect. And if you're here today and you're seeking recovery and you need help, these people are here for you. They're reaching out a hand, and I hope that you will take it. In a moment, I'd like to introduce, he's gonna give us a street drug update. Like I said, when he wraps up, these speakers I just mentioned, they're just gonna come up one after another. And I told you how we have the grab and go concept. So again, we ask that the tables remain closed, that you find a seat, and you keep your conversations to a minimum. So now let's please welcome to the stage.
Hi. That's it? That's better. Good to see all these people out here. Makes me happy, my heart full. I'm a detective with the Fort Wayne Police Department. It's my 20th year, and 20 years, all I've done is narcotic work. So I've seen trends come and go, seen a lot of good things, and unfortunately a lot of bad things. But I'm here to just talk about what we're seeing, not only in this community, but Northeast Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, and unfortunately across the United States, about drugs and what to kind of look for, because drugs do change, the aspects of drugs, the chemical compounds of drugs. So it's something to look out for. In this area, much like all the United States, spice is still a problem. Spice is a synthetic cannabinoid. We are having every day 5 to 10 overdoses of spice alone. It's still out there. It's not as prevalent as it was maybe 2 to 3 years ago, but it's still out there. It's affecting most of our about 20 to 30-year-olds, where before it's affecting more of the kids. Marijuana is the hot topic across the United States. Everybody wants it legalized for any particular reason. I'm not here to change anybody's judgment on that or viewpoints, but we are seeing actually overdoses on marijuana. The old story was that marijuana, you cannot overdose on it, but unfortunately we're starting to see it now. It's about anywhere from 90 to 98% pure THC, which is the chemical compound that gives you the high. We do not know what it's doing to people, so we're finding a lot of people just overdosing, which we think is a narcotic and opiate. We're having people take off their clothes, run wild in the streets. Come to find out they're just taking too many edibles, smoking some good stuff, I guess, what people want to say. So marijuana out there, it's a lot different than 20 years ago, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. Cocaine dropped a lot, especially across the country. It's a cartel thing. Cartel is a company basically, and they're going to bring into the United States what they think they're going to make the most money off of. Cocaine is actually starting to come back into our area pretty strong, and the potency level of that is about double than what we saw even 5 years ago. Methamphetamine, it's not your old mom and pop 2-bottle shake anymore. We're getting pharmaceutical grade, 98% is what the DEA lab is just now telling us. I remember about 5 years ago, I was able to buy a zip or an ounce of methamphetamine for about $1,800, $1,500. We can get it now for about $375. The unfortunate thing about methamphetamine is, again, it's a crystal-like substance, but they're also changing it now to a pill form. A lot of kids think that they're buying MDMA, ecstasy, party drug. We're not finding MDMA in this area, and most of the United States now, we're getting what they call YABA. YABA is a pill form that actually came up from South America. It's almost, they're saying about 90-95% pure methamphetamine with a lot of caffeine in it. It's come in different colors, and they're supplying it and selling it to kids basically as another form of what they call ecstasy. Fentanyl. Everybody knows about fentanyl. Problem that we're having with fentanyl now is there's so many different components to it and analogs of it. The United States government is now putting fentanyl into one classification, fentanyl, opiate. Fentanyl that we're seeing on the streets today is not fentanyl that we saw last year. It's not the carfentanil that we saw last year. It's changing constantly. About every couple of months it's changing because of what China's bringing in or the cartels are bringing in and selling it off as. We are seeing more overdoses daily on the pills, the OC pills that are real common that everybody hears about. They're little blue pills that's supposed to look like the Oxycontin 30s. A lot of these that we can look at, and I've been around drugs for 20 years, I can look at a lot of them and say these are fake pills. We also have pressers in the city today that are pressing pills that even if you look under a microscope, they're so good you can't tell the difference of them. They're making the pills, they're giving it to the kids. Kids are not shooting up, kids are taking these pills. We just had a 12, 13, 14, and 15-year-old at a party overdose and die about a month ago. They split one pill. And this is what we're seeing more and more common, is the younger generation of anywhere from, again, 12 to maybe 18. And we're still getting about the common ground is about in the 20s to early 30s. But the pills are what's doing the most damage right now in our community. I just want to, there's a lot of myths going around. We get constant calls from our office from parents, and it's understandable. But I just want to kind of squash a couple myths that are out there that all drugs are having fentanyl put into them. We have yet to see that. A user may combine multiple drugs together, but we're not seeing that through law enforcement side. We contact state police labs and DEA labs out of Maryville. They're not seeing it. That's being pushed across the border. Unfortunately, we are talking to a lot of people because their tolerances are getting up so high that they are mixing fentanyl with methamphetamines, the old speedball version of heroin and cocaine. We're getting approximately about 10 to 15 overdoses a week just on that, not including all the other overdoses that we have. So this is about an 8-hour class on just give new drug trends, and I have to do it within 5 minutes. So I'm at the table up there. Please come up, eat some chocolates with me, give me a hug, and I will be more than happy to talk about drugs with you. So come give some questions.
Nate Mollering and Tommy Streeter. Nate and Tommy are with Bare Knuckle Recovery, Fort Wayne Recovery, and Allendale Treatment. Tommy and Nate are both in long-term recovery. They specialize in helping those who struggle with substance use disorder and community services.
Recovery rocks. How's everybody doing? So you guys know it's Recovery Month. I don't know if you guys know what last month was, but it was Overdose Awareness Month. We're much happier to be at this event and to see so many great faces out here in recovery tonight. And those of you that are here supporting loved ones in recovery, we appreciate you too. So my name is Nate Mollering. I'm the Community Outreach Director at Fort Wayne Recovery and Allendale Treatment. This is Tommy Streeter. He's the Community Outreach Coordinator at Fort Wayne Recovery and Allendale Treatment. We work with many individuals who are in active addiction, early recovery, and in long-term recovery. Tommy and myself are both in long-term recovery. And you guys probably wonder why. I mean, everybody else is just one speaker. There's two of us up here. You know, what are these two big lunkheads doing up here? Well, there had to be two of us because Tommy has 2/3 of a brain. I have about 5/3, and together I think that makes one, right? I don't know, something like that. So,
yeah, thanks very much, Nate. We also wanted to let you guys know about our social media platform. It's called Bare Knuckle Recovery. Nate and I started this platform as just another way to reach people in the community. Everyone has Facebook, so we've got a Facebook page, we've got a YouTube channel, and a website, bareknucklerecovery.com, and we just talk about a lot of different topics that revolve around addiction and recovery. One of those topics is often asking for help and accepting help when it's offered to you, so that's what we want to talk about a little bit today. And I think for a lot of people, including myself, one of the hardest parts about someone who's struggling asking for help is the stigma that comes with it, right? What are my mom and dad going to think if I tell them that I'm struggling with a drug addiction or alcoholism? What are my friends going to think? What's my boss going to think? If I go talk to my doctor, he's going to tell my parents, and that was one of the biggest issues that I had. It wasn't until my dad forced it out of me one day that I was actually able to sit down and tell him, like, yep, I'm addicted to heroin. That was back in 2014. So, I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't really have anyone not that I didn't have anyone that I trusted, but I didn't know that I had anyone that I trusted with that information. Thank God my parents were able to connect me with a treatment center where I became really close with a recovery coach there. This was back in 2016, the second time I went to treatment. His name was Matt, and he worked at a treatment center down in Indianapolis, and he's still one of my best friends today. Every time that I would be struggling with something, if I wasn't sure how to go talk to my mom or dad about it, or my brother, or anybody else for that matter, I could call Matt. I trusted Matt. He knew what I meant when I said, I feel like I want to use today. If I would have told my mom and dad that, they would have freaked out. So it was really important for me to just find somebody that I trusted. My parents, Nate says this all the time, but I'm going to steal it. My parents did not make good therapists. They didn't make a good sober living manager, and they didn't make a good sponsor. So I had to find people that I trusted to fill in all those roles. And then, to go along with that, not only asking for help that first time, but continuing to ask for help down the road. Recovery is a lifelong process. Still today, I reach out to Nate with issues, to Matt, to my sponsor now, to a therapist that I've seen. I have to continue to be open and honest with these people that I trust when issues come, because they're going to continue to come. Just because I get sober, that doesn't mean that everything is going to be great now. I'm still going to have to deal with life on life's terms. This is about a whole lot more than the drugs and alcohol. You could take the drugs and alcohol away 1,000,000 times, but if I'm not working on the things that are inside that are really the root of my issues, I'm never going to really get better. The drugs are always going to come back.
Recovery is a continuous thing, and that's what Tommy's talking about. We have to continue to ask for help, and for many of us, relapse doesn't have to be a part of our recovery, but for some of us it is. So there's no shame in asking for help again, even if you've asked for it several times. And that's also what Tommy was talking about when he was saying find people you can trust. Because I know for me, I went to treatment probably 10 times, right? And by the 10th time, do you think my family was picking up the phone anymore? Probably not, right? And that was a healthy boundary for them to have. And that's why we don't do it alone. And that ties in exactly what Tommy was talking about. I had to find people that I trusted and that I could go to with these things. You know, I can go tell somebody that I feel like using and their mind's in the same place. They understand, like, let's go get a cup of coffee. Let's talk about that. I don't know a single person that's in long-term recovery who has done it on their own. We all need people to prop us up along the way, people that we can go to and ask those tough questions to and continue to carry us through. I have people to this day, and Tommy alluded to it with me. I have Tommy. I have people like Rob Parker. I have people all throughout my life that I can go to and say, hey, I'm struggling. You know, I need help with this, whether it's got anything to do with drugs and alcohol. As many of us know, drugs and alcohol are just a symptom of what's really going on. So I don't need to do it alone. And the last thing I want to talk about, I want to make a call to action. So if you're here today and you're struggling, come talk to Tommy and I. We'd be happy to talk to you. And if you're somebody here and you don't struggle with substance use disorder, but you know people who do, be willing to step up and be that person. I want everybody to look around this room right now and see who's here and see who's not here. I tell people this all the time. You know, Tommy and I started bare knuckle recovery because there was people who didn't want to talk about this stuff. There's no one else coming. Everybody in this room right now, we're it until other people come into the fold. And that's the call to action. Go help somebody today. Help yourself. Reach out for help. This is it. This is who we have. We have to take care of each other, and we have to continue to bring other people into the fold. All right, guys, like I said, if you guys need anything, we're going to be at our booth. Come by, talk to us. We'd love to talk to you about recovery, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, man. We're here to help you guys. Appreciate you guys.
We have Carla Lipsey. Carla is a licensed mental health counselor associate, and she's currently employed at the Fort Wayne Rescue Mission as the Senior VP of Program Operations. She's a graduate of IPFW. She facilitates focus and processing groups at Caris House for women and children. She focuses on childhood trauma, identifying unhealthy thoughts and feelings, as well as embracing tools that will help someone during the change process. She and her family have been residents for Fort Wayne for the last 23 years. She has a deep-rooted spiritual belief and recognizes Jesus Christ as her Lord and Savior. Carla enjoys reading, listening to podcasts, traveling, spending time nurturing and guiding her family. She's a member of the Black Mental Health Society, and she's been involved with Big Brothers and Big Sisters for the last 10 years.
Good afternoon, everyone. No, I want one of those that you gave the men. Good afternoon. There we go, there we go. Thank you very much. I'm Carla Lipsey. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. Like Jen said, I work at the Rescue Mission. I oversee the Caris House. I just wanted to thank Jen for having me. This is my first year at Recovery Rocks, and I'm really not a public speaker, so thank you. I am notorious for avoiding things that make me uncomfortable. So before I could think of an excuse or worm my way out of this or make some plans, I remembered that as I was going through school and my licensures, even the ones that I failed, I promised God that if He got me to where I wanted to go and I ever had a platform to talk about mental health, that I always would. So I'm kind of bound to these moments. With that being said, I've always coined my talks as spilling the tea about therapy, kind of throwing out nuggets, gems, about things that, really matter in any facet of life. I believe that every single person can utilize therapy in some way. It's just a matter of you knowing when you've hit a brick wall and you've done all you can, and now you need to go have somebody help you find some tools to get over the hump. I picked out a couple points that I thought were very important, some things that I think that we all think that we have, but we really don't possess in the healthiest way. And they're really good if you're recovering from anything, not just addiction, from trauma, not just from drugs and alcohol, childhood traumas, sexual addiction, gambling, anything that you have gone through. I feel like active listening is a thing that we all think that we do because we can all hear. So, I heard you. You don't have to say it twice. But actively listening is something that is really important to have, and it really helps us as we grow. So having a therapist, they can give you those tools. They can tell you how to utilize that properly. Emotional awareness, I think that's very important as well. Being in touch with your emotions, really knowing how you feel. Boundary building, setting boundaries, setting limits for yourself and others. And healthy communication skills. Just because we can talk, don't mean we do it in the best of ways. For active listening, it's all about demonstrating concern for the person that you're talking to. A lot of times we listen, and I can speak for myself 110%, for keywords, things that we can grab onto while we're formulating our rebuttal to that, or things that we can get defensive about right now because I can't believe you said that. So we miss the entire message if we're not genuinely concerned about what the person that's talking to us is talking to us about. Paraphrasing, that lets people know that you are listening to them. Your kid says, "Mom, I was really sad that you weren't at my soccer match yesterday," or when I was a child, your adult child, that you didn't come to a lot of my things. Then being able to tell them, "Oh, I understand your feelings were really hurt because I didn't make myself available to you." They know that you're listening. That makes them feel like it makes sense. Affirming them as you're talking to them. "I see, I know, I get it, I understand." Those kinds of things. It just really helps open up the communication gaps. Emotional awareness is a huge thing. In therapy, and now I have grandchildren, and just the littles in my life, I am notorious for having a feeling wheel or putting it on my refrigerator, all different feelings, because as we all know, as I know, as we grow up, we only learn to express anger, maybe when you're happy, sometimes when you're sad, but that's all I'm giving you. I'm not being vulnerable. I'm not telling you anything else about me. I'd rather flip the table and toss some chairs than tell you that I'm scared. That's never good. Being emotionally aware and understanding your emotions. Before you get to the anger, something else triggered that. Being really in tune with what that was. Am I disappointed because of what my child has done time and time again? And then controlling those emotions. Again, back to tossing the table and flipping the chairs. Like being able to know yourself and when you need to walk away and when you need to come back. And communicating them in a healthy way. I'll be the first one to say, when my kids take me to a place, I am great at sending out text messages that may not be the best. Being able to take a moment, figure out exactly how to express myself. I'm kind of learning that before I get to anger, I was scared about what they said was going on, and I can now tell you that. Nobody wants to be vulnerable. It's tough. We hate it. We don't want people to know, that our heart is aching or something, or we really, really care about you. So yeah, we're just gonna show you anger, push you away, and hope you don't ask us about it again. And sometimes we hope you stay away. We think we hope that. Building the boundaries are the limits that you set for yourself and others. Knowing that you can't go to such and such's house to watch the game, because every time I went to so-and-so's house to watch the game, I know what that ended up looking like at the end of the night. Telling yourself, no, it's not at the beginning, it's just a game, we're just going to watch that. You know what's gonna happen, so you have to create those boundaries for yourself. Creating boundaries for others. As the child of an addict, it took a lot, me going to school for therapy, to learn how to interact with my father, have any kind of relationship, because I was angry, I was mad about a lot of things. But to understand that we could have a good relationship if I built boundaries. This is what I will do. No, I won't do. This is where I will come. No, I won't do that, or whatever. Building those boundaries has made our relationship sustainable. So that's very important. And if you're the addict, you deserve that. Your emotions matter. You can say no. You don't owe somebody something because of what you've done to them in the past or how you made them feel. You can't fix that. You can only build something and go forward and try to make that better. Allowing yourself space and time to make decisions. When your kids come, because you may not have been available to them when they were younger because of whatever your lifestyle was or whatnot, now they're just dropping their kids whenever they want to. But you want to have a life as well. You've got this newfound life too that you want to live. It's okay to say, no, let me think about it, I'll call you back, see what I got going on. You're worth that. And having healthy boundaries really promotes self-awareness and self-respect. You're rebuilding your respect from whatever adversities you've come out of. It's okay. It's okay to build boundaries. Some feelings will be hurt. Some people may not love it or like it. They may not talk to you for a while. That's okay. They'll learn to respect you. The healthy communication skills. When you talk to somebody, knowing that just feeling heard and making them feel heard, understood and respected. Those are the best people to have conversations with, but I don't know how often we get that. Nonverbal, verbal, and written, like I was just talking about the text messages, are just as impactful as what you say verbally. Your nonverbals, you're ignoring. I was told when I went to therapy, ignoring somebody is just as powerful as putting a gun to their head. I'm great at ignoring. So that really hit me. I'm like, well, I'm not saying anything, so it's like, that's it. That's one of the worst things that you can do. And just when you practice healthy communication, you have to be very strategic and understanding how you're influencing and empowering an individual. Is that what you did when you walked away? Because I know that I can say things that punch you and make you not feel good when I walk away. But really knowing that I've influenced you and empowered you. That's a great feeling. So just being conscious of that when you're communicating with somebody. Those are my nuggets that I've dropped. There's a lot of mental health professionals out here. If you want to talk to any of them, get their card just to put it in your tool belt, and they can expound on any one of these things for you. Now at least you have some things to go in and say, hey, I heard this. Can you help me? Do you have anything more that you can talk to me about this? Because let me tell you, therapy is amazing. Therapists aren't trying to tell you what to do, how to do it, where to do it, when to do it. I get it. We don't know you, so how can we tell you? But it's about the tools that we've acquired that working in collaboration with you, we're going to make sure that you have. And that's me, spilling the tea on therapy. I hope you got something from it. I hope there's something you can take with you. And thank you so much for having me.
Sam Robbins. She's a graphic designer, an artist, a dance teacher. She's from Zionsville, Indiana. Growing up and witnessing the effects of substance abuse, Sam made an oath to herself when she was in 6th grade to never use substances, and she stayed true to that oath, and she's now 23. She expanded her substance-free lifestyle advocacy to college students and young adults through co-founding a group called Party Smarty with her substance-free best friend. Party Smarty aims to normalize substance-free lifestyles and cultivate positive community for healthier, safer social environments. Party Smarty's continuing to grow at Ball State and will soon expand statewide. She's honored to serve for prevention and recovery as Miss Northeast 2022, and she'll be competing for Miss Indiana next June.
Hello, 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 yes. Hello, everyone. As they mentioned earlier, my name is Sam. I am 23 years old and a recent graduate of Ball State University. Yeah. I have also never tried alcohol, which is something that I'm very proud of, but in a lot of environments comes with social stigma. I'm sure as many of the people who are going through recovery today know is that people who are substance-free are unfairly stigmatized as not fun. They think we don't know how to have fun, but recovery rocks, doesn't it? And sobriety rocks. But knowing this and being substance-free is what led me into substance-free advocacy and showing people that it is a valid lifestyle and it is a fun lifestyle. I like to have fun. If you saw me over there, you probably saw me dancing to the jazz music. I like singing karaoke and bowling and just doing anything to have fun every day of life. But I knew growing up that fun was going to look a little different for me than what I was seeing in the media. So to this day, I haven't seen good substance-free representation for high school and college students or people dealing with grief. So often, movies, TV shows, they're showing that alcohol is the answer and substance use is the answer to dealing with all of those different adversities that we face every day. However, I saw firsthand what alcoholism and other substance use disorders did to my family members. I saw the sadder, darker side of substance use that they don't show in the media, and because of that, I knew that fun would look different for me. And so after going to DARE, I remember they had us take an oath in DARE, which inspired me to create my own oath when I got home. I went home and I said, I think that substance use is not for me. I think that I can go my whole life without trying substances. But I didn't quite get that support from my family members or mentors. They said to me, Sam, you haven't been to a high school party. You haven't been to college. You haven't worked a full-time job. You haven't turned 21. When you experience those things, you'll see you're going to want to drink. You're going to have to drink. You'll need to. But now today, I have shown that it is possible for anyone, whether you have tried a substance before or not. We do not need them in our lives to live a full and complete life. So when I went to college, I went to Ball State University, which I was told over and over by my mentors who were adults that I was volunteering with, that that's a party school. And they told me their drinking stories from back when they went to college. But I thought that meant that I would have to completely isolate from socializing in college. The first day of college, I met my best friend Mo, who was also determined to be substance-free. And so together, we united to be confident in that decision and show that it is a valid lifestyle. There was no need to give into peer pressure. There was no need to completely isolate from socializing, because even just having one peer who shared that goal with me was enough to fill me with empowerment. So we went to our student organization fair and we asked, are there any substance-free clubs? And the answer was, of course, no. Unfortunately, so many colleges do not have that as a resource. So that's why we created Party Smarty as a way of connecting students with peers, fun, and events and resources to have a full college experience without the need for substance use. We are creating a community, and we know that having the knowledge of not being alone is so powerful. Ball State did a survey, and they asked students, what percentage do you think of your peers who have used substances in the last month? And they said 95%. So they thought that only 5% of students at Ball State had not used substances in the last month. And then they asked them, have you used substances? And the reality is that 40% have not. So we are so much further from being alone than we think at times. And just knowing that, I think, would empower a lot of students to pursue substance-free as a lifestyle option. So, I would like to invite you to participate in something that has connected a lot of us and added an extra set of mindfulness and accountability to our substance journeys, and that's the Party Smarty Pledge. We've already had a few hundred people sign it, and we've had some people even sign it today. And so if you're comfortable with each of the 4 statements of the Party Smarty Pledge, when I raise my hand, I'd love if you shouted, I pledge, and then you can be an official Party Smarty. Number 1, I choose to seek alternatives to traditional party and socializing culture. I pledge. Number 2, I choose to be strong and proud when choosing not to use substances, whether it be for one day or a lifetime. Number 3, I pledge that if choosing to use substances or be around substance use, to be strong and proud and use safety precautions and harm reduction. And number 4, I choose to prioritize health and safety of myself and others in all party and social environments. Congratulations to everyone who is now an official Party Smarty. It makes me so proud to be standing in front of you here today and to think that our small message from 2 people thinking that they were alone in the world has grown to see that we have a community, not only with people who have never tried substances, but people who are in recovery. We are all in this together to fight the stigma that substance-free is not a valid lifestyle. I thank you so much, and I hope to connect with you more over Party Smarty, and I wish you the best. Thank you.
Jake Burgess. Jake is a native of Northern Indiana. However, he's been living in long-term recovery in West Virginia for the past 4+ years. He's a certified addiction recovery coach. He's a graduate of West Virginia University, and he's currently a JD candidate at the West Virginia University College of Law. He works for the Long-Term Treatment Center, where he himself learned how to change his life. A little over a year ago, he and Stephanie welcomed a daughter into their family, and she is my little pumpkin. Jake is my son.
I'm an addict named Jake, and my clean date is May 7th, 2017. I'd like to thank you all for coming out here today in support of recovery and spreading a message of hope. I also want to thank my mom for putting this together. To help families of addicts and the addicts who are still struggling. Thank you for everything you have done and continue to do for me. I wouldn't be here without you. I also want to thank my girlfriend Steph and my daughter Sydney for putting up with me. They aren't here right now, they're on vacation in Nashville. But I also want to thank Ian and Matthew and Alina and everyone else who has helped me on this journey so far. So I woke up this morning and I finally sat down to think about what I was going to talk about. And I've randomly thought about this for the past couple weeks, but I've been really busy. I would say that I'm a chronic procrastinator, and I'm getting better at it in some aspects, but some I still struggle. When thinking about it, I realized that I thrive under pressure. Something about deadlines, intensity, with increased risk, kicks me into a heightened state of focus and determination. I believe this is the addict in me. During active addiction, I overcame insurmountable odds to obtain drugs and alcohol. It didn't matter what roadblocks were in my way. It didn't matter what dangerous string of events had to occur for me to get my fix. I knew what I wanted. It didn't matter how hard it was to get it. I would find some way to figure it out. I'm sure that some of you have had the same experience. But we're here today to talk about recovery. So back in 2017, I was at an addiction treatment center called H.O.P.E. It's a 6-month residential farm-based program up in Aurora, West Virginia, so like up on this plateau. While I was at the ladder, we would often go out into the rural community and help out other families with farming. Typically it was making hay. So around August, I'd been there for 3 months, and I got told one morning that this one family that we helped out a lot with asked for me specifically to come and help pour concrete. And so we go into the lower level of this barn. They had removed the foundational wall because the barn was sagging down. They had mine jacks keeping the barn, from falling down. And there's this form that's been built, and the form was probably about 10 feet long. It was about 2 feet wide, about 4 feet tall, and inside the form, a trench had been dug down about 3 feet into the ground. And there was rebar set up vertically inside of it, kind of splitting it in the middle in like a checkerboard pattern. I'm sure that that's not the technical term for rebar, but like you get what I'm saying. Now the mixer couldn't get to where we were in this barn, so we had to load up the scoop on the front of a bobcat. So the mixer would fill it in, they would bring it in, and we would have to shovel it into this form. And because that rebar was there, I'd use this like shovel that was like this long, and the head was only like a foot long, and it was about 6 inches wide. It's like typically used to clean out treads. And so I'm slinging this concrete for what seems like forever. It's disgustingly hot. My body is aching. Blisters are splitting on my hands. And the form isn't even halfway filled up yet. And I mean, we were taking turns, but like it kept on getting harder and harder to take that shovel back when I noticed the other guy was getting tired. And at that moment, I really started to question what I was doing at Jacob's Ladder. I had had the most amount of clean time that I'd ever had, you know, for 7 years since I had taken my first sip of alcohol back in high school. And I thought to myself, you know, I could probably make it if I left right now. Like, I don't need to be here. This sucks, basically. But then everything clicked. It wasn't about how much clean time I had or the work that I had done the day before. It was about what I did in that very moment, whether I would push through the difficult things in recovery and not take the easy route. It was about the choice I would have to make daily to use the determination that I'd had to get drugs in a positive aspect of my life. That was what would define me. I told myself, when you leave here and things get hard, think back to this very moment. It will be a hell of a lot easier than this. Since leaving the ladder, I've had plenty of concrete moments. Moments where I didn't know what the outcome would be. Moments where things were incredibly difficult. Moments where it would have been far easier to give up. Moments where I did not want to feel how I felt. And moments where the only thing holding me together was my sponsor, Joey, on the phone listening to me cry my eyes out. One moment that really stands out to me was when I found out that my girlfriend was pregnant. We didn't really plan on it, and I guess most people don't. But I always thought that people did. I had my whole life planned out, you know, like all these things are gonna happen, and things kind of changed. And I thought, honestly, it would be easier to drop out of school than to continue with my education. And, you know, because I would have to work and go to school and be a dad and, you know, maintain a relationship. But deep down, I knew that that was a decision that I would regret. Instead, I relied on those around me and thought back to that hot August day and pushed forward to complete my 4-year degree in 3 and pulled over 50 credits in a 10-month period while continuing to fulfill my other responsibilities. The hard work paid off. I've started a new journey to obtain my legal degree. And it is a different kind of hard than shoveling concrete, but so far, it's just as, if not harder than shoveling concrete at times. But I realized that through not giving up, beautiful things and meaningful things are achievable. Each tough thing can become a new concrete moment that defines who I am. I guess what I'm trying to get at and encourage everyone here to do is don't give up in your concrete moment. Reach out and rely on others to push through it. Hold on to hope for a better day and keep going. Things might not look exactly like we want them, but our trying experiences can be the things that equip us with the tools to help others who are still struggling. Don't give up before the miracle happens. I believe in you.
Rob Parker. Shame disappears when stories are told in safe places. Most of his life, folks tried to make Robbie feel ashamed. As a boy, ashamed of his trauma and being his father's son. As a teenager, shame led to anger, vitality, and total rebellion. As a man, Rob carried the scars of addiction, violence, prison, and the never-ending sting of the past. God used 2 old ladies and an authentic community to chip away at the dormant shame in Rob's life. People showed up and created a place where rebirth was possible. Rob still battles shame, but with the arsenal that accompanies an authentic community. Rob has been married to his bride Sierra for 13 years. They have a family of 4 beautiful and, as he says, mischievous kids, ages 9 to 21, and an awesome grandson. Rob oversees the older youth services as the director at Gateway Woods, just outside Fort Wayne. He fights tirelessly to make Fort Wayne a place where the most vulnerable and marginalized can have a place and a voice in a community they love.
How's everybody doing? Woo! Woo! Recovery rocks, right? All right. What a great looking bunch of folks. I'm so glad there's so many people here tonight. You know, there's a story in the Bible about how there were some radical friends that their buddy couldn't get off his mat. He was paraplegic. No, arms didn't work, legs didn't work. He couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. But he had some awesome friends. They knew he needed healing, so they concocted a plan together. So they said, we're going to cut a hole in the roof in the place where Jesus is talking. So the criminal part of me really loves this story, okay? I'm going to be honest. So they get their buddy down in the mat so they can get him in front of Jesus so he can get the healing that he needs. Because they couldn't do it for him, but they knew who could. I wish I was here to tell you about all the things I've been doing to be that friend, but I'm not. Not today. Today I'm here to talk about all the times where I was the guy on the mat. Couldn't do nothing. By myself, I was helpless. All I could do is just keep doing what I've been doing before. That's what I want to talk about today. You know, I found something really cool today, and I thought it made sense. And I've always said we're all in the same boat. I've been saying this for years. We're all in the same boat. But I think it's going to change today because I read this. We are not all in the same boat. We're in the same storm. Some of us have yachts, some of us have canoes, and some of us are drowning. So be kind to whoever you can. Help whoever you can. I wouldn't even be here talking to you. Yeah. I wouldn't even have the opportunity to come and talk to you guys today if it wasn't for people that were willing to do that in my life. People that were willing to do whatever it took to help somebody that really didn't seem very hopeful. I was not a good bet. I was not where you would want to hedge your bets at. And, as I think back of all the people that have kind of poured into my life, all the people that have invested in me, all the people who get to claim some stake for where I'm at right now. I would love to stand here and tell you that I'm a real go-getter and I'm a self-made man. I just pull myself up by my bootstraps. That is, in my world, that's not how it works. The way it works is you've got community. You got people that love you, they get behind you, they believe in you. Sometimes when you don't even believe in yourself. So what I really want to do is I want to steal a page out of the Fred Rogers handbook here. I just think about where you're at. I want to take 15 seconds, 15 seconds to just think about the people who invested into your life. The people who got you here. The people who stood behind you, who helped you, your parents, your friends, your mentors, aunts, uncles, cousins, sponsors, whoever those people are. I want to take 15 seconds and just think about those people right now. I bet those folks will be really, really proud of you. You're still here. Maybe you feel like you've fallen off. Maybe you feel like you're not doing that great, but you're trying. You're showing up. You didn't quit. I think they'd be really proud of you. You didn't get there by yourself. And the people that showed up for me, they didn't get there by themselves either. My story probably started out a lot like a lot of you. The people who created the most trauma, the most stuff in my life, the people that really, really felt me, had me feeling it, were the people that should have been the first ones to love me. They should have been the people to be there to protect me. They should have been the folks that I could count on the most. But from an aunt that exploited me, and a dad who beat me, and the people who told me I was never going to amount to nothing, I was never going to be anybody, and nothing good was ever going to come out of it. I was just like my dad. You know how often I heard those things over? Maybe you guys probably heard some of that stuff. That you weren't no good. You weren't going to amount to anything. You never overcome. You're just going to keep doing the same stuff you've always done forever and ever. How's that feel? Feels kind of awful, right? Like we want somebody, even when we're doing bad, we want somebody to say, hey, look, you're going to get through this. You're going to be all right. I'm going to stick with you. But the way that we do community, from my experience and living here in America my whole life, is the way that we do community looks a little bit like this. I'm going to put one arm around your shoulder. I'm going to use one of my arms to keep you just far enough from me. Because my life is pretty well put together. I've made it. I've arrived. I've overcome. But you're kind of a train wreck. So I don't want your stuff to touch my stuff. The days of doing community like that are over. Nobody responds to that. People respond to authentic community. You can't be yourself with your people. Guess what? They ain't your people. You can be yourself with your people. You don't have to worry about your people making you feel shame, making you feel like you're not good enough, making sure you're not going to do it. Those aren't your people. But here's the encouragement. There are a lot of people just like that. There are people that will be that voice in your life. There are people that want to show up for you. And I'm going to contend that some of those people are probably in this room right now. There are no reinforcements coming. We're it. The people that are showing up, the people that have overcome, the people are saying, okay, where are the people that are struggling so I can step into their life? There are no reinforcements. We are it. Just realizing I never even started my timer. This could be bad for everybody. And go. So, you know what? I would say that I have had a great deal of healthy people to demonstrate for me what that looks like. I've also had a great deal of people to demonstrate the opposite, and not only demonstrate it, perpetrate it on my life. And it took me a long time to be able to process through that and be able to stand in front of people and say, oh, I sure don't have it figured out. Like, I'm just one beggar trying to show a bunch of other beggars where I found bread. That's it. Like, you can't make a principle out of my experience. Everybody's as different as, we're all so far apart. Where we've come from, what we've been through, you can't make a principle out of anybody's experience. But I can tell you from where I've come from, the abuse, the neglect, the hurt, the pain, the shame of it all, of just being made to feel like you'll just never be nothing. But there's another side to that too. I've had some great folks who have stood by, and when I thought it was even me, when I didn't even believe in my own self. I was just a kid, and some of my earliest memories are just abuse and just all this ugly, awful stuff. But there's a lot of encouragement for me too as I look back and I think, when my parents got married, my mom had a view of my dad that wasn't accurate. He sold himself as being something that he wasn't. By the time I think she realized what had gone on, it was too late. She was stuck. So all that abuse and dysfunction and addiction and all the things that he'd been just cultivated in his life that had been passed down from generation to generation, now here it is in her house. Now she's got a kid. Now they have kids. So my dad starts perpetrating that onto us. And, my mom was just with me. It was me and her taking it on the chin for a long, long time. And then he left. And it was just her trying to figure it all out. Being broken, battered, and belittled, and just trying to be enough for the kids, trying to keep us going. And, it wasn't too long after that. I already start feeling all these issues coming up. I feel that angst, that hurt, that anger. And then I got bigger, and I was a head taller than everybody in my grade. So, you can't be too aggressive, but I was. So then I start getting kicked out of school. I start smoking, I start drinking, I start doing drugs, I start going to all of those empty wells that never, ever satisfy. But I spent years there, years. Mom was in my corner, my aunts were in my corner, my grandparents were I had some folks that were really rooting for me. It didn't make everything go away. It didn't make me make the right decisions. But the support never stopped being important. Even though I would act like, I'm a big shot, I don't need anybody. But I did. I needed them. If for no other reason, just to not give up, not to quit. There was days I was just so sick of it, sick of being me, sick of my experience, sick of all of it. I just wanted to give up. If it wasn't for those people, maybe I would have. But I think God knew exactly what I needed to stay alive, to keep going, to keep trying. I followed that trajectory for a really long time. I was in and out of placements, and all my teenage years was just pretty much nonsense. I went to jail when I was about 17 years old. Spent my first year in jail. I wasn't out for a full year. Got arrested. Was sent to the penitentiary. I went to stay here in the state of Indiana. I spent the better part of the next decade in and out of prison, in the streets, doing nonsense. Just the whole kit and caboodle. You can write the whole story, all the stuff that goes into it. That's where I was at. And the second time I was in prison, and last time, somebody was like, you should go to college. And I quit school in the 8th grade. I got a GED in boys' school. Thought I was dumb, to be honest. Street smart, sure, but that doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't get you a job, that's for sure. So I'm like, hey, why not give college a shot? I got nothing better to do with my time. So I went to school, and long story short, I did pretty good for myself. I thought maybe it was a fluke, maybe it wasn't. I'm going to keep trying. I ended up leaving prison with 2 college degrees and 10 felonies. I'm assuming you are clapping for the college degrees, not the felonies. But I really did think, what good's it going to do? It didn't change anything. I accomplished something, but I couldn't find a job. Nobody wanted to give me a chance. I started getting frustrated, starting to go back. You start slowly seeing you're going backwards. In hindsight, I could see it happening. My wife and I came to know Jesus, and we were like, what do we do now? What do you do with this? I know what people say, but what's the truth? What's the truth of it all? And through that whole thing, it was a mentor that played a big part in my life. And a big part of that life was just showing up. He started showing up for me. He was available. He wasn't wagging his finger at me. He wasn't telling me all the things I should be doing different. And it surprised me. Keep in mind, we went to church when I was a kid. We went to church. My dad, we go to church and he'd come home, beat my mom, slap me around, drink a little bit, do his thing. So I had a view that church people were just like regular people, but they look better on Sunday morning. That was my take. But then this guy shows up, right? I'm 10 years out of the penitentiary. I meet this guy. I'm like, man, he seems legit. Like the guy seems like the genuine article, the real deal. I'm like, I'm going to give this a shot and see what happens. He invites me out for breakfast. Hey, you want to get some breakfast? I'm like, yeah, sure, maybe sometime. But, I buzz past him, and a little bit of time goes by, and I see this guy's card on my fridge. I think I'm going to give him a call. I figured he's going to buy me breakfast and beat me with the Bible, right? But free bacon, okay? So I'm like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to do this thing. Well, I start showing up. He becomes kind of a mentor to me, right? He's speaking in. I start realizing, like, this is a good guy. Like, I got a good guy on my squad here. Then I start thinking, like, man, if this guy's for real, what if the whole Jesus bit's for real as well? Because if that's the case, the people are like, I'm not that bad. I'm not that guy. I knew I was no good. Not only was I doing bad things, I intentionally did bad things. I figured, hey, I can't be good anyway. I might as well be as bad as I can be, right? I'll be really good at being bad. So I knew, man, if the gospel is truth, I'm in trouble here. I'm in big trouble, folks. So I start asking my friend, like, what do you really do about something like this? And he's like, well, you're living with your girlfriend. At this point, I'm living with my girlfriend. He says, you either got to get married or break up. And I'm over here like, what the what, man? I'd never heard anything like that from him. He never said anything about do this, don't do that. But I recognized the change was he was just building a relationship with me. He didn't offer because I didn't ask. But once he realized I actually was saying I want change, at that point he was like, if you really want change, let me help you figure out how to get it. My response was different than what I just explained to you. My response was, I might become a Christian someday, but I'll never come to your church. Just put my hoodie up and I boomed out of there, right? About halfway home, I'm like, he's probably right. I didn't tell him that. We did end up getting married like 2 days later. True story. This is true. She's here. She'll tell you how that happened. Like, I come home, I'm like, hey, what do you think about getting married? She's like, we are getting married. I was like, what do you think about getting married tomorrow? And the rest is history, But this is where it all starts to change. People start coming into our lives. Some folks did it really well. Some people didn't. But I can tell you one of the common denominators. Shame never works. Never works. Shaming somebody into changing their behavior will not ever get you anywhere. You cannot be in genuine relationship with somebody you feel like is ashamed of you. It's almost impossible. Jesus was not just a man with the people. He was for them. He was for them and with them. Not just, hey, I'm over here rooting for you, but he's in it with them. Like, they're together. That's the kind of guy I want to be. Like, I want to be with people where they are, not just speaking for them. I want to speak for them and live with them. That's true, authentic community. Pardon me. I feel like a cyborg right now. So here's the scoop, right? There's going to be all kinds of opportunity to lean into people's life. And there's going to be all kinds of people that will be leaning into yours. The sooner we get this view of what authentic relationships look like, what authentic community looks like, the sooner the folks that are the most marginalized, the most stepped over, the most broken and hurt in our community, the sooner that they actually get swept up in with us, with people, with healthy community, with folks that care about them. The reason it doesn't happen in great numbers now, it's shame. So much of it is about shame. I can't tell you who I really am because you're going to judge me, you're going to look down on me, even if you do agree with their behavior. So what? That doesn't stop us from loving on people. It shouldn't. That shouldn't stop us. If the people that were in my life waited until I had it together, like my behaviors were in sync with what they thought was healthy, if they waited, I would have never had anybody. I would have struggled all those years by myself, alone. But it didn't. Because people that didn't necessarily think I was living healthy acknowledged that I needed somebody. The humanity of it. So I want to read a quote. Greg Boyle is a guy that I look up to quite a bit. He's got a ministry out on the West Coast. It's pretty awesome. But he says, no daylight to separate us, only kinship. Inching ourselves closer to creating a community of kinship such that God might even recognize it. Soon we imagine with God that this circle of compassion, we imagine no one standing outside of that circle, moving ourselves closer to the margins so that the margins themselves will be erased. We stand there with those whose dignity has been denied. We locate ourselves with the poor, and the powerless and the voiceless. At the edges, we join the easily despised and the readily left out. We stand with the demonized so that the demonizing will stop. We situate ourselves right next to the disposable so that the day will come when we stop throwing people away. For far, far too long, we've thrown people away. We've thrown away addicts. We've thrown away homeless people. We've thrown away people with mental health, with trauma. We've thrown away people that are just weird, okay? People are like, they're weird. Look, I'm weird, okay? I need people. I'll take weird people even, like people like me. I'm okay with that. I'm just saying, those days of letting people just get tossed aside, they got to be over for us. There has to be a cohort of people saying, like, the way that we've been doing community, the way that we've been doing this life, humanity, is not good. It's not healthy. The sordid state of the human heart, it's rough right now. We have to choose to do something different. We have to believe better in people, and then we have to actually put our lives where our mouth is. Lean into life with people. Look, currently I am the program director for the Lark and Willowbridge initiatives at Gateway Woods. Gateway Woods has been around for 45 years, serving the youth and families in our community. We find some of the kids that have really just been taking it on the chin for a really long time. And we have the opportunity to stand in the gap between them and the communities that we love. The community that I'm from, my hometown. And what we're telling these kids is there are people out there in the church and in your community that they love you and they want to stand behind you and they want to see the absolute best from your life. Here's the thing though, as we're telling them that, people have to show up. I've put myself on the line for my community and said, look guys, they're out there. They want you, they love you, they're waiting on you. And we've met some really, really awesome kids. And the opportunity now is for us to show them the kind of community that I promised them that we actually have. So my shameless plug, stop by the Gateway Woods booth. Hey, Gateway, holla. There's my folks over there. Go see them. Anybody interested in some swag? I bought some swag. Does anybody want some swag? All right. Are we ready? All right. I'm going to toss out a few things. Ready? Man, these shirts don't throw so good. That's it. Box is empty. This thing is a hot mess on my head right now. So look, I think I'm probably over my time. They're giving me the it's okay. I'm probably getting close to being over here. Can you guys hear me all right? So here's the scoop for me. It's really all about the way that we treat each other. I think a lot of people believe a lot of things passionately. A lot of times they're passionately wrong, but I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is the way that I see people treating one another. It's not okay. I don't care who you are, where you came from, what your background is, what your trauma looks like, where you're at in life right now. Look, we all started at the same spot. And every one of us, the ultimate statistic, 10 out of 10 people die. 10 out of 10. Every one of us, barring a return from Jesus, we're all going to die. The real question, what did you do with the time you had? There's a lot of people, in my opinion, that poured into my life and invested into me in a way that made their life really, really mean something. My encouragement to you folks and to me, man, make it count. Don't hold anything back. Don't leave it on the line. Don't wait until the end. You got some energy in your legs. You got some energy in your mind. You got some love in your heart. Go out there and share it with some folks that really need it. Because, man, there are people that need community out there real, real bad. Shame, weaponizing shame, and holding people down and putting our boots on the back of people's heads when they're already struggling. It's an awful thing. And as I look around my community, I look around these people standing right here, and I think, man, there are good things happening. If you watch the news and you listen to the loudest voices, they're going to tell you it's all falling apart. Like the whole thing's on fire. Let me tell you a secret. Everybody is a train wreck. Pick your favorite one, hop on board, and roll out, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Look, I want to say thanks to Jen and her team. And just everybody that showed up today, the speakers, the vendors, the people who've overcome, the people who are currently overcoming. But they didn't stop there. Now they want to come alongside other people and see them make it, see them survive, see them thrive, and then go on and do it for somebody else. That's the real principle, right? That's how it multiplies. You know what somebody said one time, you know what the true fruit of an apple tree is? It's not apples, it's more apple trees. So let's get to work. Best time to plant a tree, 20 years ago. Second best time, right now, today. Come see us at the booth. Love y'all. Woo!
I almost don't want to come up here after that. Thank you today for being here to help us spread hope, to end the stigma, and thank you for being here to connect to other people and to resources. I've got to go through some thank yous. First, I want to thank Sweetwater for again letting us use this amazing venue. Specifically, thank you to Alyssa and Drew. They make this run so smoothly. They make us look great, so we appreciate you very much. We're thankful to the food trucks who are here. If you haven't had a chance to visit, please go check out the great options we have. I want to thank our wonderful speakers, Jared, Mitch, Tommy, Nate, Carla, Sam, Jake, and Rob. Our day would not have happened without our incredible sponsors. I got to come back over here so I can read. I don't want to forget anybody. We have our Rocking It sponsors, Avenues Recovery, Indiana Recovery Network, and the Chapel. We have our Platinum sponsors, Star 88.3, Bowen Recovery Center, Allendale Treatment, Fort Wayne Recovery, Redemption House, The Negative Space, Cross Connections, Biblical Counseling, and Rod and Michelle Sin. Our gold sponsors, Inspiration Ministries, woo, Hope for Her, Farrington Specialty Centers. Our silver sponsors, Ridgeview Hospital, Landmark Recovery, Terra Treatment Center, Northeastern Center, Isaiah Initiative 18, the Indiana University School of Social Work, and A Better Life, Brianna's Hope, a support and recovery movement. Thank you for all of you incredible resource tables for being here today, and I thank you for what you do each and every day for our community. You are definitely making the world a better place. And again, I want to say, if you are here and you need help, it is available. There are about 50 tables out there, and they want to be there for you. If not today, maybe tomorrow or the next day. So I'm just going to take a few minutes, and this is where it gets personal for me. I want to thank my life group for being here. You know, Rob talked about your community. They just love me no matter what. I've got my quirks. I'm not perfect. I definitely have a lot of things to work on, but they just love me. And they've been here since before 8 a.m. making sure this day got put together. And I just thank you all so very much. They volunteer when I ask. They volunteer when I don't ask. And then Rob also mentioned having your people. I want to thank my people from my Tuesday night meetings in Fort Wayne and from our Thursday night meetings in Warsaw. We all just get each other. They have stepped up to handle different committees, decorations, door prizes, speaker bags, everything. I couldn't do this alone, so I thank you sincerely. I want to thank my family for being so supportive of this mission. I want to thank Ian for never thinking that my ideas are too out there. I want to thank him for getting power tools out and building and constructing things in the garage for us. He helps with our Tuesday meetings. And I thank him for being our family's kind of calm, consistent presence. Jake, wherever you are, thank you for being so willing and vulnerable to let us share your story, our family's story, in a way to hopefully help others. and to let them know they're not alone. I thank Matthew and Alina, my other 2 children, for never complaining and just lovingly coming along for the ride to be supportive. I'm truly blessed with gifts in my life that come in human form, and I hope you all have your community of gifts as well. So my hope is that tonight, each one of you take home a little something to help you on your journey wherever you are. Some hand you can grab a hold of to help. No matter what you're facing today, this was the place for you to be. For those of you in recovery, you've done the hard work, and thank you for shining the light for others and for being that hand someone can grab hold to. For those of you seeking recovery, help is out there. Take it, ask for it, because I want to see you here again next year. You can do it, and you don't have to do it alone. For those of you who've buried your loved one, my heart aches. I hope you heard something today that will give you a little peace, help you realize you're not alone, and that this disease was not the result of a parenting failure or a family failure. It's not a moral flaw within the person. There are many of us here who are going to continue to speak out for those who don't have a voice anymore. I give you my word that I will do that, and I know this room is full of others who give you their word as well. If you're a family member here, I want you to know you're not alone. As a mom, I spent lots of years doing very unproductive things, such as, trying to tell my son what he should do. I'm his mom. I know what you should do. Maybe I was trying to manipulate outcomes so that he would go to treatment or he wouldn't go hang out with certain people or go certain places. I attempted to fix problems, soften falls. I failed to take care of myself. I thought I could control things or even fix him. It took me a while that really all I was doing was neglecting my own well-being. I wasn't being fully present for my other family members or for my friends. I was living a life of insanity, and I wasn't helping my son at all. So for our family, it took some tough decisions. I'm not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't do or what your line is between enabling and loving. That's not my job. But I'm here to tell you that if you're a family member, finding a support system, finding a support group for yourself is essential. Taking care of yourself is crucial. Understanding what you can and can't control is actually very freeing. Modeling healthy lifestyles, healthy choices, and behaviors in our own life can go a long way. And I can't speak from the viewpoint of someone suffering from substance use disorder, but I can tell you that as a mom, when I started changing my communication with my son, when I started working on myself, when I started letting my son experience the consequences of his actions, and I stopped providing things, changes started happening within me. And then ultimately, changes started helping within him too. And I'm not taking credit for that. He's worked his butt off, and I'm very proud of him. What we can't control is another person. We cannot control outcomes, but we can control ourselves. We can learn how to have joy despite what may be going on around us. And I want to leave you with this. What we say at our support group meeting is there is always hope. Now, the resource tables are going to still be open. Please go connect some more. If you've grabbed something inspiring from one of our speakers, go find their table. They're here to talk with you. And again, please visit the food trucks. We're going to be back up here a little before 6 o'clock. we're going to announce our door prize winners. If you weren't aware, there's a white tent back here. We have a place where you can sign up for door prizes. I think we have about 25. We have gift cards. We have artwork, beautiful artwork that you could hang in your home. We have, what else is out there? There's hats, there's mugs. We have a $200 Airbnb gift card coupled with a, I thought I went dead for a minute, with a gift card to go to dinner. So sign up under the white tent. We are going to announce those a little before 6, right before the band takes the stage. So thank you again for being here. It's wonderful to see your beautiful faces, and recovery rocks.